21st of the 6th, 2025. I wanted to be very specific about a couple of things in regard of Hollywood. One moment, please. Okay. Now, no, balls. Hello there. Hello. Now, so, very specifically, the tourists, yes, I've spoken about this before, I'm going to speak about it again though. The tourists, the straight-edge mainstream tourists, they are very easy to spot. They're often not alone. They're usually in groups of families. They're with the family and wearing very similar things. Like no, that's not the. No, what was this? I was on Vine, and there was a family there, and it was very easy to tell that family because they were all wearing the same thing. They were wearing blue jeans with belts and white t-shirts with the same thing on the t-shirts, and two of them had cameras, and they were together. And I think they were from Vermont or somewhere perhaps, because they were speaking in French. It was a weird kind of French. It was more of a Canadian French, and most of the people in Vermont are French. French is a widely spoken language in Vermont, and they looked. They're at Vine. I looked down that way down Hollywood East on Hollywood Boulevard. One of them said, "Oh, do you want to go down there?" And the guy, the father, he said, "No." He said, "No, we won't go down there." And I went, "Oh, yeah, okay." You know, I said, "Want to go down that way?" He said, "No, nothing down there." What do you mean there's nothing down there? What do you mean there's nothing down there? You'll find the real Hollywood. Not that Vine isn't the real Hollywood, but you start walking down Hollywood Boulevard East, past Vine, your Argyle Vine, right? Actually, Vine Argyle. Yeah, Vine Argyle. It just becomes devoid of tourists, and I think before they have left to the States, they've read the forums, looked at the forums, listened to YouTube videos, watch YouTube videos, listen to advice, and they're like, no, told not to go down that way. Homeless and all that, and told not to go down that way. The thing is, along Hollywood Boulevard between Orange Drive and McFadden, you'll find all the tourists. It seems that because when I've walked along Sunset, when I've walked along Santa Monica, when I've walked along Wilshire, I haven't spent a lot of time in Wilshire, and La Brea and Poinsettia, and even walking along Sunset past Ralph's, zero tourist activity, because I know the tourists when I see them. I know them. They're very easy to spot. I don't look like one these days because I don't act like one, and I don't act like one. I don't act like one. And in Ralph's, I saw zero tourists, and so along Sunset Boulevard, where I walked along Sunset Boulevard, none, zero. Even if you walk up Highland to Franklin, and I'll tell you what, there's a gem in there, there's a gem. Walk up Highland to Franklin, turn left, keep walking, you get to Orchard Street, which is a beautiful street behind the Kodak Theatre, behind the Kodak Theatre there. And wonderfully quiet street. But as I said, there's it's remarkable that takes 3 minutes to walk up from Hollywood Boulevard up Highland to Franklin. Almost 10% tourists, and then walk up to Franklin, like onto Franklin, zero tourists. They congregate in groups on Hollywood Boulevard to do the Walk of Fame. I see them in big groups all the time there. Big, like family of 5 or 6. I see very few solo travellers, and the solo travellers who are tourists disguise themselves quite well, meaning they just act like locals. And yeah, they do. They do, because I do not see those families on Sunset or Santa Monica or the Bray or down past Vine or up on Franklin, past Vine on Franklin all the way down Franklin. I don't see them up there. I don't see them up on Kalanga Avenue past Hollywood Bowl. I don't see them there. I've never seen them there. In fact, I've never seen them in Beverly Hills. I've never seen them at Beverly Hills Hotel. And I'm thinking, so they're staying at some sort of high-end hotel. They're getting room service, because I don't see them at 7-Eleven. And I don't see them at Ralph's. And it's so interesting, and I don't see them talking to street people. Oh, I was on the corner of somewhere. Was it Vine or Argyle? I was standing on the corner one morning. Early one morning, there was these 3 tourists next to me. They were girls, between the ages of 20 and 25. And this street person went up to them and they said, "Do you have a doll, please?" And they went, And because they've read the forums, they've watched the YouTube videos, they've listened to all the advice, and the advice has been just. And so I watched each girl, he approached each girl, and they were like, and then he approached me, and I gave, what did I give him? $5? Gave him $5, and I was very appreciative of that. And they watched me give that to him, and they're like, "Oh, okay, whatever." They looked at me weirdly. I have given money to street people on Hollywood Boulevard, in the corner of Highland and Hollywood, in front of the tourists, in front of the straight-edge conservative tourists. And I tell you what, the dirty and weird little side got, they were like, I'm like, yes, they're human, and I enjoy interacting with them. And there has come on, let's have a swig. One guy, this was one street guy, it was hot, it was about 35 degrees, and he picked this cup up out of the bin and took a sip out of it. And there was many people around, and they were looking at him in disdain. I went up to him, and I got a pull out. I can't remember, it was $5 out of my wallet or $10, and I gave it to him. I said, "Go get yourself a lemonade from McDonald's. Go on, go get yourself a lemonade." And he acknowledged me on it. But he must have been so parched. And the other 2 people around me saw me do this and that, and they were like, and they're a strange mob. I'll tell you what happens with them. What happens is they watch the YouTube videos, they go on the Google forums, and they read about what to do, what not to do, what to do in LA and what not to do, and I'm sure everyone is saying, "Street people approach you, just ignore them, walk straight past them, just ignore them, walk straight past them." And I did have this in my head when we went back last year. I did. But it didn't feel right to do so. And so I had it in my head, but in the reality of the situation was I had a great deal of empathy for these people, a great deal of empathy and sympathy. And I started to give them money and enjoyed doing that. And there was one guy on Yucca in 2024 in May, and I was walking back to the hotel, and this is with tripods the best way to film, and And anyway, this guy. Oh, no one's on Yucca. Walk along Yucca. Devoid, totally devoid of tourists. It's as if they've got one-dimensional conservative radar. Stay on Hollywood Boulevard. Stay on the Walk of Fame. Don't go off there. It's like almost amusing. They're all on Hollywood Boulevard between Orange Drive and, say, Whitley or McFadden, okay? But if you go up one of those side streets, walk up it, no tourists. They don't go that way. And I was walking up Yucca, and this guy said to me, "Do you have any cigarettes?" I said, "Oh, I don't smoke." And he was looking, he was wanting a cigarette. And I kept walking, and then eventually turned around and walked back to him. I handed him a 20. And I said, I handed him a 20. He went, oh, he was a bit overwhelmed by it. He went, oh, he said, thanks, thank you. And it was like, well, he's going to go buy a packet of cigarettes. I felt for him in the moment, and I did that. Handed a 10 to another guy on Hollywood Boulevard. He was someone, when it's hot, it's San Francisco on Haight Street. This guy practically grabbed my lemonade. I'm walking past this homeless guy on Haight Street, San Francisco, and this guy reached out for my lemonade. He says, oh, please have some lemonade. I let him have a sip, and I gave it to him. I kept walking, and then I went into a supermarket, a grocery store. There is actually a grocery store there, it's in Haight Street. Went down to the grocery store. I went into it, bought him a bottle of lemonade, and I walked 2 blocks back down to get it to him. What is these mainstream conservative tourists, what is going on with them? So let me see, what they do is they get one of the hotel rooms somewhere. They do the tour. I've seen them all on the tour, all their short back and sides, the baseball caps, they're looking like this. Like prod them with a kettle, prod them, you could get a smile, get a freaking pulse. They do the tour. They go back to the hotel room. They don't go out after 6, but when it gets dark, daylight saving, it's dark about 9 p.m, but don't go out after dark at all. They see the Walk of Fame. Oh, they go to Universal probably, and or Warner Brothers. I don't even know if they ride the subway. They've been told not to go near the subway. They've been told not to go near downtown. By the way, Pershing Square is great, and Skid Row's 2 blocks from there. You've got 4th, 5th, and 6th, and just walk down on Maple, and Skid Row is there. And they've been told to. Even Joe Rogan said, stay away from downtown. There's nothing wrong with downtown. Right at the moment, there's chaos happening in downtown, but they I don't know. They're weird, and when they see me coming along, walking along Hollywood Boulevard, these tourists, they some of them do this at me, about 50%. Like, they're like, who's the fucking weird one? Yeah, I never see them in the liquor store getting their Smirnoff bottles. I drink it in front of them sometimes, and they're like, just keep walking, like walk around Hollywood, walk it. get the number 2 bus, get on number 2 bus, and you don't need to do the tour. There's no need to do the tour. Get on number 2 bus, and that's what I was thinking about today. And just go down Sunset into Beverly Hills, and Hillgard, get a lighted Hillgard, and then get a 761 to the Getty. Listen. I was thinking about this with the homes of the A-listers, and when you find their address and you go to it, really, what are you going to do? What is your intention? What are you going to do? I'll tell you. What is it you plan on doing? I mean, you get on the tour bus stops outside Ben Affleck's house, for instance, which it doesn't, but just for instance, because he's in Brentwood. I know the street in Brentwood that he's in. I can't remember it off I found it a few months ago. It was an article and I got curious, but it's in Brentwood. You've got to go to the other side. It's Brentwood anyway. It's actually difficult to get to, which is the way he likes it. Well, actually not difficult for him, but you get to a A-lister's place on the tour, and you're overwhelmed, you're admiring, you're like, oh, is this where I live? Oh, and you get to for 30 seconds, the tour bus stops, just looking, you're in awe, you're in awe, you're in awe, and what really are you going to do? You're going to jump out of the tour bus, you're going to remember where they live. Like, you think you know, they don't know you, you think you know them and about their life. And the tour bus moves on, and 5 minutes later you're thinking, oh, what street was that? What street was that? And it feels very imposing. It's like, you haven't been invited. It's very imposing. It doesn't feel natural at all. And if you go there by yourself, which, I have done, so you go there by yourself, what really are you going to do? It's not good to linger in that area. So you find it by yourself, and you look at it for a minute, which is about how long you really should linger for. About a minute is okay, or 2 minutes, and then, but what really are you going to do? You're going to knock on the door, buzz on the door, and say, oh, I'm a fan. You can't do that properly, it's their private property. What do you do? What do you do then? Yeah. And so, in that area of Beverly Hills, the Hollywood Hills is easier, in the sense that you can stay a bit longer. Beverly Hills is ultra exclusive and private, and it's not really good to linger there for too long. About a minute, 2 minutes you can linger for, but then you should move on after that. And same with Bel Air. You stand there, admire it, and then move on. And most of the time, it's all hedges most of the time, high hedges, anywhere from 8 foot to 16 foot. I think I was saying 20-foot hedges, but in the vicinity of, you've got your 6 foot, like Johnny Depp's house on Switzer, it's about an 8 foot hedge, maybe 10, could be 10. There's a huge gate. Pardon me. So, where the famous live, their homes, you really wouldn't. And Michael Jackson, the last place of Michael Jackson was on Monavale Drive near Carwood, and it was a thing years ago, like a decade ago, where there's people who lived in Italy, they'd come out from Italy and park outside his house for a week at a time. Technically you're allowed to do that. Technically it's not breaking the law. They're die-hard fans. One of those back in, he passed in 2009, wasn't it? I think they did this in 2008. They're doing this 2008. Generally, what are you really going to do? You find, say, Humphrey Bogart's house. You found his house, his mansion, his house in Bel Air. And for a minute you look at it and you admire it and you appreciate it. What are you going to do after that? You're going to move on. You say, well, I saw it, and that was fantastic. And maybe your head's buzzing and it's spinning, and you're like, oh, I saw it. I get a bit like that. I'm like, oh, I saw it. Although with Al Pacino's house, I was like, oh, that's Al Pacino's house. Okay. And I just kept moving. So, the Hollywood tour, it's great to go through the hills, you're getting this information, but it doesn't feel personal or good. It just doesn't. And you feel so much better if you do it yourself. And you can do it yourself. Get your lift, pay the Uber driver, they'll offer you it. If you get them at the right place at the right time, pay them $20 USD, they'll actually drive you around for an hour. We're coming back from Malibu because we stopped at Axel's driveway on request, and from where we were in Malibu. And on the way back, the driver said, hey, look, if you throw me 30, look, here's my number, call me, throw me 30, I'll drive you around for an hour. He said, I'll drive you around the Hollywood Hills and Beverly Hills, and along Mulholland if you want. And I said, oh, how much would that be? He said, oh, I don't know, just give me $25 and I'll do it for you. And look, as I said, look up where they live. But if you're just happy enough to appreciate the atmosphere, if you're happy enough just to appreciate the atmosphere and the architecture of where you are, then you can be very fulfilling, very, very fulfilling. If you're not fussed about who lives where, if you're not fussed about that, if you're not overly concerned about that, and you just want to take in the atmosphere and say, oh, that mansion looks interesting, oh, that's fascinating, oh, that's, and you're like, oh, that's really cool, you'll have a really, really good time. Have a really good time. And there's a few mansions that I want to. The thing is, I mean, a decade ago, or more than that, back in about 2010, 2012 or so, I used to have a lot of the addresses in my head, like a Fairfield, and I was a bit fanatical about it. I'm not anymore. I'm still, in a sense, fanatical about the area, but I don't remember these addresses. I remembered two of them since then. I would research that continually, but now that I've been there and I've walked it, I know one or two of them, and to refresh my memory, I have to look it up. But you just walk it. I stood outside Elizabeth 709. It was either 700 or 909. It was Elizabeth Taylor. Her old house is still there. I stood out the front of it. I stood there for a minute. Could have been 2 minutes. I lingered for 2 minutes. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. I appreciated it. But what am I going to do? I can't walk in. They don't like you lingering in that area. There's no law against you being there. But if you linger for too long, you're going to get approached if you linger for too long. Well, I mean, if you stand outside someone's place for 5 minutes, you might be pushing your luck. But if you're standing there for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, don't do it for 10. Because I got pulled up for doing that. I went back because I wasn't satisfied with the photo I'd taken, so I went back, took another photo, and the security guard comes out and just looks at me, just looks at me. I said, oh, hello, and I said, good afternoon, fascinating neighbourhood. And he was just like, didn't say a word to me, so you can have a really good time if you walk those streets or take an Uber, a really good time. What do I think of the Hollywood tour? I think that it imposes and invades on their privacy. And you work hard making movies. You're a public figure, celebrity, A-lister, right? But then you've got this van that passes by your home every other hour, and it's like that wouldn't be fun. That would not be fun. And when you're on that tour bus, there's an element of excitement there, but at the same time, cheapness, and it's like, boom, what was I going to say? Get the Uber. Uber ride would be great, and walking it. Love walking it. Walking it's fabulous. So easy to walk through Beverly Hills. Walk through Beverly Hills, whatever. I mean, when you're on Sunset Boulevard, just divert off Sunset Boulevard, turn right on Foothill Road or Sierra or one of those other streets. Sierra's great, and just walk down there. Walk. I did that for about 80 minutes, no, 90 minutes one day in 2024, somewhere in May 2024. I did that, in June, May. Great walk. I had a great walk. I really enjoyed it. I didn't know whose house I was passing or anything like that. I didn't go to the trouble of writing down all the addresses. I just want to enjoy myself and just want to walk. And Beverly Hills and Bel Air is also. Beverly Hills is probably the easiest to walk through. Bel Air is steep, and it does take a while. It takes a while. I mean, you got the 2% chance that you got a 1% chance that they're going to come out and invite you in for a cup of tea. That's possible. So yeah, these straight-edged. Well, back in 2008, I thought I'm going to do the tour, and when we stop outside certain celebrity home A-listers, I'm going to jump off the van, the thing. I'm going to jump off. I'm going to knock on their door and jump over the fence. I'm glad I don't have that mindset anymore. I'm glad I moved on from that. I went through some phases. I'm glad I'm not that way inclined anymore. Uber. Lyft will probably do it. The Lyft driver will do it. If you get a Lyft driver who's really cool, they'll give you their number and you call them and they'll do it for you. It's so easy to get the it's so easy to get to Royal Hollywood. Just walk off Hollywood Boulevard for 2 minutes. Or just walk and have a good time. Walk along Sunset. Visit Open LA on Lower Karonga. Visit Open LA and tell them Pat from Sydney, Australia sent you. Just say hello to them. Open LA, it's on the right hand side. Keep walking down past Sunset. You get to Sunset in Karonga, walk, just keep walking down. It's on the right hand side. It's got medicines and herbal treatments and great fashion, fantastic fashion. They're a good bunch of guys, smart, funny, and they have a fantastic business going, and they enjoy meeting people. I love when people walk into the store and you can relax in there with a cup of tea and whatnot, maybe I keep trying. Marijuana's legal in California. Go in there and smoke a joint. Because you can do that there. If it gets to that subject, but it's legal over there. Open LA. Visit Open LA and tell them Pat sent you. Okay, from Sydney, Australia. Hi. Boop, 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 doo-doo. Buy a can of Modelo and stand on Vine and Hollywood Boulevard, and drink it. People were approaching me. People approached me saying, "You look fantastic, you look great." And I approached people. I didn't the Australia the conservative tourists. I didn't approach any of them. They were very unapproachable. They're very unapproachable. They're very unapproachable. Well, if I got approached by really cool people, and I spoke to really cool people, I did as much approaching as I got approached. Okay, all right. Thanks for watching.